Tuesday morning, just after 6 a.m. The neighborhood was barely awake. The sky hung low and gray, the kind of quiet that only exists before the city fully exhales. Porch lights still glowed. Cars sat unmoving. And then, on a front porch meant for safety, for family, something unthinkable was discovered. That was the morning Iluu Eriica's name began circulating in whispers. In the early hours of that Tuesday, as the day was just beginning, a body was found on her mother's porch. No warning, no explanation, just shock, confusion, and a silence that felt too heavy for the hour. What should have been a normal start to the day instantly turned into a nightmare, one that would ripple through family, friends, and an entire community. By the time the sun rose, questions were already multiplying. How did she get there? Why that porch? And what happened in the hours before dawn that led to this moment? Iluu Eriica wasn't a headline to the people who knew her. She was a daughter, a presence, someone whose life extended far beyond a single morning and a single location. Yet, in a matter of hours, her story was reduced to fragments. Social media posts, unanswered calls, and raw grief shared online by those searching for clarity. As word spread, so did the uncertainty. No clear timeline, no confirmed details, just a haunting scene and a growing demand for answers. Every quiet detail of that morning, the stillness, the time, the place, only deepened the mystery. What happened to Iluu Eriica didn't unfold in public view. It happened in the dark, in the hours when most people were asleep, unaware that by sunrise, a life would be gone and a family forever changed. And as this story begins, one truth stands firm. Whatever occurred before that Tuesday morning is something someone knows, and the search for that truth is only just beginning. If you're drawn to true crime stories that reveal hidden truths, we invite you to subscribe. Your support enables us to share real cases, raise awareness, and give a voice to those who can no longer speak for themselves. Before we begin, tell us in the comments where you are watching from, and share your thoughts as the story unfolds. Welcome to Spotlight Crime, a place where we examine cases that shake communities and reveal what often remains hidden behind closed doors. Real stories, real people, real impact. Subscribe today and turn on notifications so you won't miss what comes next. And that is where the story begins. Iluu Eriica was an adult woman whose exact age has not been officially released to the public. She was reportedly based in Detroit, Michigan, according to multiple social media posts from individuals identifying themselves as friends, co-workers, or acquaintances. No verified public records or confirmed news reports have outlined her formal occupation, though several posts suggest she was actively employed and socially connected. At the time of writing, law enforcement has not released an official biographical summary, leaving much of her personal profile reconstructed through indirect accounts rather than confirmed documentation. From what has been shared online, Iluu Eriica maintained close ties with her immediate family, particularly her mother, whose home later became central to the investigation. The location where her body was found indicates that family connections played a significant role in her personal life, whether through regular visits or as a known point of safety. Individuals claiming familiarity with her have described her as someone who maintained consistent communication with people close to her, suggesting a defined personal network that investigators would likely review when reconstructing her final days. In terms of daily structure, Iluu Eriica appeared to follow a predictable routine. Accounts suggest she was regularly reachable by phone and active on social platforms, indicating consistent digital engagement. There is no public indication that she lived an isolated lifestyle or avoided contact with others. Instead, her routine seems to have included regular interactions, both online and offline, which provide investigators with potential reference points for determining when deviations may have occurred. Lifestyle indicators drawn from public posts suggest she moved within familiar environments rather than frequently changing locations. There is no verified evidence pointing to long-distance travel, unstable housing, or sudden relocation in the period leading up to her death. No officially confirmed reports have detailed major changes in her schedule. However, the absence of confirmed information does not mean changes did not occur. Investigators typically examine phone records, location data, and witness statements to determine whether a person missed appointments, fail to respond to expected communications, or alter planned movements. Whether such irregularities were present in Iluu Eriica's case has not been publicly disclosed. One area of focus for investigators would be whether Iluu Eriica had any recent changes in behavior that were subtle rather than dramatic. This could include meeting someone new, handling a private issue not shared publicly, or adjusting her routine for reasons not immediately visible to others. Did anything in Iluu Eriica's routine change shortly before her death? The answer to that question could clarify whether her final movements were expected or unusual. Until official findings are released, her background remains defined by what is known, what is missing, and what is yet to be verified through evidence. Investigators begin reconstructing the final 24 to 48 hours by identifying the last verifiable moment Iluu Eriica was observed in public or by a reliable source. This whether her device powered down lost signal or was handled by another party remains a critical issue under review. Reconstructing her movements during the overnight hours relies on indirect indicators rather than confirmed sightings. Iluu Eriica was found on her mother's porch, a private residential space rather than a public or remote area. Investigators typically assess whether a location holds practical value, symbolic meaning, or both. A family residence is not a random drop point. It is tied directly to the victim's identity and personal history. Investigators consider whether the location was chosen to ensure the body will be found quickly or to avoid discovery until daylight. The positioning on a porch also raises questions about access, including whether the individual responsible had prior familiarity with the property layout, entry points, and visibility from neighboring homes. Authorities continue to assess whether the porch was selected for recognition, concealment, or logistical convenience. Each factor helps narrow the range of possible explanations while raising a central question that remains unresolved. Why bring her there instead of leaving her somewhere else? As investigators examined the circumstances surrounding Iluu Eriica's death, they began outlining multiple working scenarios rather than committing to a single theory. One of the first considerations is whether the incident was directed at Iluu Eriica specifically or whether it resulted from an unplanned encounter. A targeted act would suggest prior intent, planning, or familiarity with her movements, habits, or personal connections. The focus is on individuals who had recent, verifiable contact with Iluu Eriica in the days leading up to the incident. This includes people who interacted with her in person, communicated with her directly, or were connected to her routine activities. Law enforcement typically begins by mapping her known social circle and narrowing it to those whose proximity in time and access could be established through records, statements, or physical evidence. Recent contact is assessed through multiple sources, not a single interaction. Investigators review phone logs, message histories, and app data to identify frequent or last known communicators. They also examine in-person interactions, such as visits, shared transportation, or meetings confirmed by witnesses or surveillance. The objective is to determine who had direct access to her during the critical window before she was found. Anyone appearing repeatedly across different data points becomes relevant for further review, regardless of relationship or background. Reported conflicts or disputes are evaluated separately from proximity. Authorities look for documented disagreements, unresolved issues, or sudden changes in relationships that occurred shortly before the incident. These can include personal disputes, financial disagreements, or workplace-related tensions if applicable. Importantly, investigators rely on verifiable information rather than rumor, distinguishing between confirmed incidents and unsubstantiated claims. A recorded disagreement does not establish responsibility, but it can influence investigative priorities when combined with opportunity-related factors. Alibis are examined through corroboration rather than self-reporting alone. Individuals identified as having recent access are asked to account for their whereabouts during the relevant time frame. Digital footprints play a central role in connecting individuals to the final hours before contact was lost. Investigators analyze location data, app activity, call routing, and device connections to determine whether phones were near each other or traveled along similar routes. They also review deleted messages, recent searches, and account logins when legally accessible. As the inquiry progresses, the list of persons of interest remains fluid, expanding or narrowing as evidence is verified. Some individuals are ruled out through confirmed alibis or contradictory data, while others remain under review pending additional analysis. At this stage, the investigation centers on access and opportunity rather than motive alone. Who had the opportunity and the access? The case entered public awareness through social media platforms before any detailed official briefing was released. Posts began circulating shortly after the discovery, sharing limited information about the location and identity of the deceased. Screenshots, short videos, and written posts spread rapidly across platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, and Threads. Some posts suggested specific circumstances surrounding how the body was found, while others speculated about who may have been involved. Statements attributed to family members and community figures also appeared online, though not all were issued through formal channels. Some posts expressed calls for accountability, while others requested privacy or cooperation with authorities. Because these messages were shared informally, it was not always clear which statements were direct quotes and which were interpretations. Law enforcement generally treats such posts cautiously, recognizing that public messaging may reflect personal perspectives rather than investigative findings. Community reaction extended beyond social media into broader public discussion. Viewers questioned the pace of the investigation and the lack of detailed updates. Comment sections became spaces where theories were debated and timelines were reconstructed by users attempting to piece together available information. This collective analysis, while active, often relied on incomplete data. Public pressure intensified as the case remained unresolved in the public eye. Online calls for transparency and justice increased engagement, drawing attention from people outside the immediate community. While increased visibility can encourage witnesses to come forward, it can also introduce challenges, such as tip overload or the spread of false leads. Police clarified that not all circulating claims were accurate and advised the public to rely only on verified updates. Authorities have not publicly shared forensic results, toxicology findings, or confirmed time of death. Information related to digital evidence, including phone records or location data, has also not been discussed in detail. Law enforcement has withheld specifics regarding potential suspects, witness statements, or surveillance findings. These omissions suggest that releasing such information could interfere with future questioning or legal proceedings. As of the most recent updates, no arrests have been formally announced. Officials have neither confirmed nor denied the existence of persons of interest, choosing instead to state that multiple leads are being evaluated. The lack of detailed disclosures reflects a strategic choice rather than a lack of direction. As evidence continues to be reviewed, updates are expected to follow when confirmation is possible. Until then, the investigation proceeds without public conclusions. What detail are investigators not sharing yet? Some claims regarding the circumstances of her final hours are circulating online and through social networks, but these reports have not been verified by law enforcement. At this stage, the investigation is considered incomplete until all critical data points are validated. At present, the case is classified as an active death investigation. Authorities are treating it with the full resources available for incidents of unexplained death, including the review of digital records, witness statements, and physical evidence. Officers continue to work methodically to identify potential suspects, locations of interest, and patterns that may explain inconsistencies in the known timeline. The investigation has not been closed and remains a priority for the jurisdiction involved. Could someone watching know something important? The resolution of these remaining questions depends on identifying overlooked information that could complete the picture of Iluu Eriica's final hours and the sequence of events that led to her death. If this story has kept your attention, do not forget to like this video and share it with others. For more true crime stories that uncover the mysteries behind tragic events, subscribe to our channel and activate the notification bell to stay updated with our latest investigations, reports, and discussions. Thank you for joining us in this pursuit of truth and justice. Together, we can shed light where darkness remains. Until next time, stay safe and stay vigilant.